Bruce Lee wore the same watch every day for 7 years. A cheap Seiko, not a Rolex, not a luxury brand. A $35 watch he bought in a pawn shop in Los Angeles in 1966. When he died, that watch stopped at the exact moment of his death. And it wasn't the only one. Every clock in his house stopped at 11:30 p.m. Nobody could explain why. Los Angeles, 1966. Bruce Lee walks into a pawn shop on Western Avenue. Not because he needs money, because he's looking for something specific, a watch. His old one broke during training, smashed against the wooden dummy, the crystal shattered, the mechanism ruined. He needs a replacement. The pawn shop owner is an old Jewish man. 70 maybe. Survived something that left numbers tattooed on his forearm. Survived something that put a quality in his eyes that recognizes other survivors without asking questions. I need a watch, Bruce says, something that can survive training, something that won't break. The old man looks at Bruce. Really looks. Not at Bruce Lee, the rising actor. At Bruce, the person asking for a specific thing. What kind of training breaks watches? Martial arts? Impact training. The watch needs to survive me. The old man nods, goes to a case, pulls out a Seiko, automatic movement, stainless steel case, simple face, white dial, black hands, the kind of watch that doesn't pretend to be anything other than what it is, a tool for telling time. This one, the old man says, not expensive, not fancy, but honest. It will tell you the truth every day, and it won't break unless you want it to. Bruce looks at the watch, picks it up, feels the weight, the balance, the simplicity. How much? $35. Bruce pays, puts the watch on his left wrist. It fits perfectly. Not too tight, not too loose, like it was waiting for this specific wrist. Why this one? Bruce asks. You have more expensive watches in the case. The old man looks at him again. That same quality in his eyes, because you're not looking for expensive, you're looking for true. This watch is true. It will tell you the time until it can't tell you anymore, and when it stops, you'll know something important ended. Bruce doesn't fully understand, but he thanks the old man, leaves, wears the watch every day for the next 7 years. The watch survives everything. Training sessions that would destroy lesser timepieces, fights, film shoots, the back injury in 1970 that puts Bruce on the floor for months, the recovery, the return to training, the years of building and pushing and becoming Bruce Lee, the global phenomenon. The watch keeps time through all of it, never breaks, never stops, never needs repair, just keeps ticking, counting the seconds, the minutes, the hours, the days, the years, the 2,555 days between the pawn shop in 1966 and July 20, 1973. Bruce becomes superstitious about the watch. Not consciously, but he notices things. The days he forgets to wear it feel off, unbalanced, like time is moving wrong. The days he wears it feel correct, aligned, like the watch is keeping time not just for him but for everything around him. Linda notices. You're more attached to that watch than any other object you own. It's a good watch, Bruce says. It's a $35 Seiko. You could afford any watch in the world. Why this one? Bruce thinks. Because it's true. It doesn't pretend. It just counts time. That's all I need. Something that tells the truth about what's happening. What is happening? Time passing. That's what's always happening. The watch reminds me. Linda doesn't push, but she notices Bruce glance at the watch constantly. Not to check the time, to confirm something, to verify something. Like the watch is telling him something more than hours and minutes. June 1973. 1 month before Bruce dies, the watch stops. Middle of the day, Bruce is training. Glances down. The hands aren't moving. Frozen at 3:47 p.m. Bruce stops training. Takes off the watch. Shakes it. Winds it. Nothing. The watch is dead. 7 years of perfect function. Then suddenly stopped. He takes it to a watch repair shop in Hong Kong. The technician opens the case, examines the movement, looks up confused. There's nothing wrong with it, the technician says. The movement is perfect. All the parts are working. It should run, but it won't. Can you fix it? There's nothing to fix. Technically, this watch is working perfectly. It just stopped telling time. Bruce takes the watch back. Doesn't understand, but doesn't argue with what is. The watch stopped, for no mechanical reason. It just decided to stop. He puts the watch in a drawer at home, buys a new watch, a different Seiko, similar model, wears it for 3 weeks, but the new watch feels wrong, off balance, like it's telling time for someone else, not for Bruce. He keeps glancing at his wrist and feeling that something is missing. Not the time, something else, some quality the old watch had that the new watch doesn't. July 19th, 1973, one day before Bruce dies, he opens the drawer, takes out the old watch, puts it on his wrist. Even though it's stopped, even though it's frozen at 3:47 p.m., it feels right, like his wrist remembers this specific weight, this specific presence. He wears the dead watch for the last day of his life, goes to Kowloon walled city to see Sufu Yip Ching. The watch on his wrist showing 3:47 p.m. the entire time, not moving, just present, just true in its own broken way. July 20th, 1973, Bruce goes to Betty Tingpei's apartment for the meeting about Game of Death, still wearing the stopped watch, still 3:47 p.m. on his wrist, while the real time moves forward around him. He takes the painkiller around 7:30 m, lies down, never wakes up, pronounced dead at 11:30 m, when the ambulance takes Bruce's body. When Linda arrives at the hospital, when she sees him for the last time, the watch is still on his wrist, still stopped at 3:47 p.m. The hospital gives Linda Bruce's belongings, wallet, keys, the watch. She takes them home, puts them in the same drawer where Bruce kept the watch after it stopped. She doesn't look at the watch closely until the next day. July 24th, morning, sitting at the kitchen table, the terrible morning after, when the reality is undeniable because the sun came up anyway and he's still gone. She picks up the watch and freezes. The watch is no longer stopped at 3:47 p.m. It stopped at 11:30 p.m., the exact moment Bruce died. Linda stares at it, turns it over, opens the case, looks inside. She's not a watch expert, but she can see the same thing the technician saw a month ago. Nothing wrong with the mechanism, everything working perfectly. The watch just chose to stop. At the exact moment Bruce Lee stopped. She tells no one, puts the watch back in the drawer, closes it, doesn't look at it for days, then weeks, then months. The watch sitting in the drawer, showing 11:30 p.m., the time Bruce Lee left the world. But that's not the strangest part. A week after the funeral, Linda is going through the house, trying to decide what to keep, what to give away, what to preserve. The terrible mathematics of loss. How do you convert a person into objects? How do you decide which objects matter? She notices something. Every clock in the house has stopped. The kitchen clock stopped at 11:30 p.m. The living room clock stopped at 11:30 p.m. Bruce's bedside clock stopped at 11:30 p.m. The clock in his study stopped at 11:30 p.m. 7 clocks in the house. All stopped at the exact moment Bruce died. All working perfectly before that moment. All stopped after. Linda stands in the living room, looking at the frozen clocks, not understanding, not trying to understand, just witnessing something that shouldn't be possible but is. She calls an electrician, asks him to look at the clocks. He examines each one, opens them, checks the mechanisms, comes back confused. Mrs. Lee, there's nothing wrong with any of these clocks. The batteries are good. The movements are fine. They should all be working. I can't explain why they stopped. They all stopped at the same time, Linda says. 11:30 p.m. on July 20th. The electrician looks at her. Something in his face, not skepticism, not belief, just recognition that some things exist outside the category of things he can fix. I don't know what to tell you. Mechanically, these clocks are fine, but they won't run. He leaves. Linda sits with the stopped clocks. 7 timepieces that decided time was no longer something they needed to measure. Like time itself stopped when Bruce died. At least in this house. At least for these specific objects that counted his time. She doesn't wind them, doesn't restart them, leaves them stopped at 11:30 p.m. for weeks, then months. A house frozen in time, the moment of death preserved in every room. Brandon asks about it. 8 years old. Noticing things children notice. Why don't the clocks work? They stopped when your father died, Linda says, not knowing how else to explain it. Why? I don't know. Will they start again? Linda thinks about this. Maybe. Maybe when we're ready for time to move again. She winds one clock, the kitchen clock, a week after the funeral, needing some sense of time returning, of life continuing, of the world not being permanently frozen at 11:30 p.m. on July 23, 1973. The clock starts, runs normally. Time resumes in the kitchen. Slowly over the following months, Linda restarts the other clocks, one at a time, as she's ready, as the house is ready, time returning room by room, the present cautiously replacing the frozen past. But she never restarts Bruce's watch. The Seiko from the pawn shop in 1960 that stays stopped at 11:30 p.m. forever, a marker, a markument, a monument, a small mechanical prayer, frozen at the moment of ending. Shannon finds it years later. Teenager, going through her father's things, trying to understand him through the objects he left behind, the watch in the drawer, stopped at 11:30 p.m. Why is Dad's watch stopped? She asks Linda. Linda tells her the story. The pawn shop in the old man with numbers on his arm, the watch that survived 7 years of training and film and life, the watch that stopped a month before Bruce died, the watch that somehow restarted itself just to stop again at the exact moment of death. Shannon holds the watch, feels the weight, the specific weight her father felt every day for 7 years, the weight that told him something true, that time was passing, that every moment counted, that the watch would tell time until it couldn't tell anymore. Do you believe it? Shannon asks. That it stopped at the moment he died? I don't know what I believe, Linda says. I just know what happened. The watch was stopped at 3:47 when he wore it on his last day, and stopped at 11:30 when the hospital gave it back, and every clock in the house stopped at 11:30. I don't know why. I don't know how. I just know it happened. Shannon keeps the watch, doesn't wind it, doesn't try to restart it, preserves it exactly as it is. Stopped at 11:30 p.m., the moment time stopped for Bruce Lee. In 2010, a journalist asks Shannon about her father's possessions, what objects she's kept, what they mean. Shannon mentions the watch. The journalist wants to see it. Shannon shows him, tells him the story. The journalist asks if he can have it examined by a horologist, an expert, someone who can explain what happened. Shannon agrees. The watch goes to a master watchmaker in Switzerland, Omega certified. 40 years of experience with mechanical timepieces. If anyone can explain why this watch stopped at the moment of death, it's him. He spends a week examining it, opens the case, photographs every part, tests every component, measures every tolerance, documents everything. His report comes back. This watch is in perfect working condition. Every part is functioning exactly as designed. The mainspring has tension. The escapement is clean. The jewels are intact. There is no mechanical reason this watch should not run. I wound it. It ran for exactly 37 seconds, then stopped. At 11:30 p.m., I wound it again. Same result, 37 seconds, then stopped at 11:30 p.m. I wound it again. Same result, 37 seconds, then stopped at 11:30 p.m. I cannot explain this. Mechanically, this watch should run indefinitely, but it stops at this specific time, every time, as if it has decided this is the only time worth showing. Shannon reads the report, sits with it, the mystery preserved, the explanation absent, just the fact. The watch stops at 11:30 p.m., the moment Bruce died, and nothing mechanical explains why. She keeps the watch in a safe now, climate-controlled, preserved, along with all the other things she preserves. The notebook, the letters, the photographs, the objects that contain her father's life. But the watch is different. The watch is alive in its deadness, still keeping time in its own way, not counting forward, counting the moment of stopping, preserving not what came after, but what ended. 11:30 p.m., July 20, 1973. Forever. The old man in the pawn shop was right. This watch will tell you the truth every day, and when it stops, you'll know something important ended. Bruce wore it for 2,555 days. The watch told him the truth every one of those days. Time is passing. Every moment counts. The watch will tell time until it can't tell anymore. On day 2,555, the watch stopped and told the final truth. This is when time stopped. This is when the counting ended. This is when something important ended. 11:30 p.m., the watch that wouldn't break. The watch that survived everything. The watch that stopped at the exact moment Bruce Lee stopped. Still showing that time, still telling that truth, forever stopped. Forever true.